Hello and welcome to episode 107 of No Load Time. My name is Hobart Velez, and with me is the destroyer of podcast, Mr. Joel Young.
Destroyer podcast, Destroyer of No Load Time. Shut the show down. It's over.
He shut it down. He
Shut it
actually
down.
shut he actually shut it down over the weekend.
Shut it down. I will make
Joel,
it.
what are you doing?
I will shut it down.
Oh,
I'm doing
yeah.
good, man. How are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. Busy. You know how it goes. It's happening. There's a lot of stuff happening out there. We're ramping up at work, so it's going to be a very busy few months. So our recording schedule is probably going to get all shuffled up for the foreseeable future. So, so we're getting to that time. Usually the summers where we are pretty consistent with the recordings, but it's ramping up, man. But it's good. It's all good, man. It's I'm excited. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm doing all right. And how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I remember in the last episode I was mentioning to you guys that I was gonna probably go out to the movies and see Ad Astra, the Brad Pitt space movie, and I made it out and saw that movie in IMAX last week. Pretty cool. It was, in general, something I think you and I, Obed, are similar in this, but very big sci-fi fans in general. Love space epics and we don't get too many good ones out there. But I do enjoy seeing a good space film in general. There's some stinkers out there. There's some interesting ones, and there's some great ones, right? Of course, Star Wars being one of my personal favorites, right? That's all fictional, but still fun. Anyways, so Ad Astra being another space movie that was going to be in IMAX, naturally I had to go out and see it if I could. And you looking at the coming attractions and whatnot, you would probably look at it and think like it's a very generic space movie of this guy just like trying to fix a satellite or something. No, it's not what this movie is. They really travel across the universe to some degree. They go to some new spaces and parts that are not talked about, but only hypotheses in for scientists. So I thought that was really interesting the way they displayed some scientific theories that have been said about space. They really showcase it in a unique way. Worth the IMAX experience. I think if I would have watched it at home, I probably would have been a lot more bored. But because of the visual spectacularness of it on a big screen, I'm just sitting back going, "Oh my goodness, look at this beautiful planet and this beautiful thing." And it's not just beautiful, but it's also adventurous. The whole idea of the movie is right. The answers we seek are on the other side of the universe, and you think, okay, that must mean that they're like trying to find like alien life, and yes, alien life is a big part of the movie. However, of course, because this is a movie that is probably trying to get an Oscar, trying to get some type of critical recognition, it tries to take a more personal turn than it does a more scientific one. So that part of it was interesting, but not really what I was there for. But regardless, had a good time. If you want to see a space epic, if you're into space epics or you haven't gone out and seen a space epic, yeah, give Ad Astra a try in theaters. If you watch it at home, might not be as entertaining because it's really just for a nice big screen beauty experience.
Gotcha. Hideo Kojima likes it.
Yeah, I believe it. I liked it.
All right, cool. Yeah, it looks good. It actually looks pretty good. So I'm curious to see it. It's not on my top of the list, but I'll catch it eventually. Yeah, not much on my end, man. You got to spend some time with again Battlefront 2, and the reason being that last weekend or last week, the Clone Troopers got added to the Republic roster and they're pretty good. So I was pleasantly surprised to see that they are an enforcer class, and I had my enforcer class already maxed out. So I basically got a maxed out clone trooper out of the bat, and it was pretty good. So it very interesting how they did it. It's very different from all the other classes, meaning your weapon actually doesn't overheat. It runs out of ammo. Like you actually have ammo
Interesting.
instead of it getting overheated and then you having to use the cool down mechanic, which I find that cool down mechanic just fine. but most of the weapons actually overheat pretty quick, which is a shame. This one's not like that. This is actually ammo, so you still have your cooldown bar, but you see it deplete, and then when you run out of ammo, you don't go into a cooldown state. It just goes into a reload animation. So it's very different from all the other classes, and it has some really cool power ups. It has like it's not a force push, but it has like a sonic push, basically, or like a seismic push sort of thing. It has a really really slow rocket launcher or grenade launcher that does pretty good damage, but is extremely slow. And it has a shield, basically like a shield mechanic. But overall, pretty good. I like the design, of course. Though that uh, clone commando design is really nice. So that was pretty good, and got to play a lot of that. Got to actually play as the clone commando a lot. So that's pretty cool. But I still haven't seen the other map they've added. They've added another map for the Galactic Conquest, and I can't remember the name of the planet. Joel, is the planet is briefly on episode 3. Is the one with
Mustafar?
No, is the one where
Kashyyyk?
no where Isla Sakura gets killed. The one with the big mushrooms.
Oh my gosh.
I forgot the name. It's a not super
Yeah.
popular planet. Yeah, because they already had Kashyyyk. They added Kashyyyk,
Yep.
and they added the full Naboo map.
Right.
So those are in. Um, so they added that other place from episode 3. So yeah, I mean, the game is great. Game was like $6 this week again on PlayStation. So, which by the way, we do have a lot of PlayStation news, but we'll get there. We'll get there, guys. We promise. But yeah, man, overall, very good. Other than that, I actually played some Kingdom Hearts again. My daughter wanted to like, hey, let's play the Disney game. So pulled in Kingdom Hearts 3 and actually finished getting all the lucky emblems. So did that. That was pretty good. So looking forward to that DLC that's coming out. They said winter, but they didn't say if it was winter 2019 or winter 2020. So, I mean, meaning winter 2020, like between January and February, not December of next year.
No,
So,
no.
yeah. So we'll see when that comes out. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, other than that, it was a quiet weekend. And just to do a quick segue, I went ahead and got it. Just so they don't call me out.
Yep. Nope. Definitely. Yep.
So just for if you're not watching the video version, holding up a 4K Blu-ray copy of Spider-Man: Far From Home. So I was able to secure one of those. It's been getting that, especially the 4K version's been selling out pretty quick everywhere. So I was able to get one at Best Buy today, and yeah, so looking forward to that. And with that,
I can't wait to hear what you have to say when you watch it.
all right, now I'll watch it. I'll watch it over the weekend, so I'll let you know for sure. And with that, we will segue into our topics for the week. And just going back to our quick Facebook Live video that we did last week. Again, Spidey's back in the MCU with one movie, one team-up movie, and then after that, whatever comes. And meanwhile, Sony will still keep working on their own Spider-Verse. Joel, man, take it away because you're the Spidey guy.
Thanks, dude. Well, talking about it on the Facebook Live, that was a very genuine, raw reaction from us on there. I had literally just found out. Obed, you saw me literally jumping for joy, literally jumping up and down. Couldn't contain myself. And it wasn't that because I was surprised that this was going to happen, but, you know, I felt that enthusiastic the first time that I heard, right, that the deal had been struck between Sony and Disney, because up until that point, it was something where, like, they had said it would never happen. There would always, Sony would take this property, run into the ground, because it wasn't like they didn't make a profit necessarily off of Amazing Spider-Man 2 or any of the other stuff, right? But it all comes down to money at the end of the day, and that's where the deal first that was struck between Disney and Sony, I believe, was a hope of Sony to make a profit even more so, right?
Yep. It was out today in various news outlets that Tom Holland actually played a big part and bringing them together, which is great because you can tell that he cares, right? And he wants to make this happen, and he wants to make the fans happy. And he's already scheduled to do projects for Sony with Uncharted, and he has I think a Pixar movie coming out too. So there's a lot of stuff happening with Tom Holland, and I think that it's fans should thank him first for making the deal, because he's the one that actually seems to be the one that actually stepped up and was able to bring them together into an agreement. That being said, Joel, now we have details of what the deal behind the scenes is. So if you want to just go ahead and give us more info, just going back to the original one, it was a 5% deal on box office returns. Disney still kept all marketing, not marketing rights, but merchandise rights.
Yep.
Distribution and merchandise rights for the movie. So what's the revision on that, man?
Yeah, so basically now all that we have confirmed, according to the Hollywood Reporter, is that Disney's going to foot some of the bill for the production of the movie. They're going to put out 25% for the film's budget. They're going to actually help pay for, and also they'll also help them to take 25% from the profits of the upcoming movie as well. So they're helping with funding it. They're taking a little bit off of Sony's back of what they're actually putting out to make the movie. Sony's still doing the majority, 75%, and they're also still requiring 75% of the box office too, in comparison to that 50-50 split that they originally wanted to have, that Disney wanted to have originally. So, Obed, I think this is something that makes sense. Like, when you look at it from a financial standpoint, like I told you, the 50-50 thing was just never going to happen under any
that's
CEO,
too much.
Under any CEO. Like you do the math, and Sony might have actually lost money in that deal. I read stuff. There's stuff on Forbes and stuff out there that really displays to you how that really works from a breakdown. Smarter people than me, so read that and look it for yourself. But when I look at this and see 25% of the box office for the distribution of just the Sony film, I'm curious now if more will come out in the sense of, will Sony get any type of additional financial kickers from Disney for the MCU appearances? Because I feel like that's some undisclosed funds that are also going to be given to Sony as a thank you very much. Here's a little gift wrapping for you. Those are things that don't usually make the cut right now, just because those funds can change, and they may not be contractual, but they're on a gentleman's handshake that we're going to give you a little something, and we'll make sure it's sweet. And also as a way of also giving good faith for potential future beyond just these two movies. I'm glad that they're looking at a short-term idea, finish out what we've started, but that doesn't mean that we're necessarily done. It just means that if we are done, we're not leaving on a cliffhanger. But if we aren't done, we can continue to go really well. So I'm a fan of it, of course, not just for the sake of having Spider-Man back, but also from the sake of that there's an immediate vision, right? And when you'll watch Far From Home. When you do, you'll see the 2 post-credit scenes, and you're gonna think the same thing, like, how could I have watched this movie, see the end of this thing, and then
Not get anything,
not even connect? That would have been so weird, bro. It's possible, but it would have been weird.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see, because I'm going in blind. I no spoilers other than that what I've seen on trailers, so I'm good. But yeah, good. What concerns me is whatever type of Spider-Verse Sony is going to do. Of course, we talked about the Madame Web thing briefly on the video that on the Facebook Live that we did when the news broke. I mean, I know who Madame Web is because of the Spider-Man 90s cartoon. If it wouldn't been for that, I would have no clue who she is, because she is such a, like, not, I don't want to say unpopular, but obscure character from the
Right.
Spider-Man universe. I mean, where are they going with this? I mean, maybe that's going to be what's going to connect, Venom and all these other things that they're working on, Morbius and whatever. I mean, I don't know how they're going to pull it off. I I really don't care for Madame Web. No one cares about her. I mean, it's like the Morbius movie is like zero. No one cares. This is like the Jonah Hex when it came out. It was like no one cares about Jonah Hex. Also, the movie was awful. But yeah, it's one of those things. The way that Sony made it sound, Joe, also on some other press stuff that they put out there, is that Spider-Man is the only character MCU character that it's able to cross over universes, and that was super weird. It was like, well, that means that he's gonna be doing stuff in the MCU, and he's gonna come here and help Venom fight Carnage. That's my like when you tell me that, that's what I think, right?
I'm sure.
Yeah. Now, would it be wise for Sony in being in the position that they're right now, right? And with Spider-Man, it's okay, right? If they want to do, whatever, bring him in and do his own crossover, whatever, that's fine. What if they go a different route, Joe? What if they do like Scarlet Spider instead of doing like an actual Spider-Man movie? And what if they do their own Spider-Verse with another version of Spider-Man from another universe, like Scarlet Spider? And just to avoid confusion with Spider-Man, just Scarlet Spider as your, main hero, which is basically, it's a spider. It is the
it's a poor man Spider-Man.
I mean, it is the definition of a Spider-Man clone. Like if you're going to say a Spider, yeah, I mean, it is a clone, a Peter Parker clone with like knockoff, Spider-Man suit. Looks cool though, like the whole red and blue thing. They may make it work, but why not do something like that instead of just trying to force Holland back into this thing and having it suck, and then go back to the MCU, and then it's like, oh my gosh, Spider-Man's here, yes, and
Sony's gonna do whatever Sony wants to do, but can't imagine them doing another like, hey, we'll have a knockoff Spider-Man if they have the full ability to use Tom Holland and he's a moneymaker. They're not gonna say for the sake of Disney, like they're gonna do what's good for Sony, right? So if they think that putting Tom Holland in the next Venom movie is gonna give them more money and give them more positive buzz, not that movie needs it necessarily. I think Sony's gonna do it rather than saying, oh, we don't want to damage the look of this guy. It's in a Disney movie, not our own movies. So I'm sure they would do it, but as somebody who's protective and could care less about the business side of it, right? Just wants to see a good movie, see a good story. Yeah, I don't want to see Tom Holland even touch anything to do with the Madam Web, and I don't want that. That doesn't exist. But how do you take Spider-Man characters and not have Spider-Man? They did it with Venom. Ben, I know I talked to you the other day. It's like, have you seen Venom? You're like,
I haven't seen it yet.
That movie's been out. This is a year actually.
It's been a year, yeah.
Last year, and still haven't seen it. I don't know of anyone who talked about it that much after seeing it in theaters. It did pretty well in theaters. But mind you, it was October. There's not really many good movies in October. Spider-Man again being successful in Infinity War, those kinds of things. People assumed Spider-Man was going to be in that movie. He wasn't, but like.
I mean, he was the thing is like, and again, I haven't watched.
Sorry, I spoiled it for you.
No. But I'm not. I'm fine. I haven't watched Far From Home, but like Spider-Man is like a central motivator in Endgame. How can you have your central motivator, the central motivation just out? It's out and not.
Disney invested into this as well. Like they took a risk by allowing that type of connection in that way to help further Spider-Man's story. And when you watch Far From Home, you and I joked about it on that episode when the original news come out of, hey, he's not gonna be in this according to the separation. I said Tony Stark did not die for this. Like, yeah,
exactly.
Like, you literally watched to watch the movie, and Happy says to him, I'm not trying to spoil it, but Happy says to him, Tony died knowing that there would be a Spider-Man in the world. Like he wanted to make sure Spider-Man was around. Yeah. If I go out,
you're good. That was in the trailers.
Yeah, you're there,
Yeah.
right? Like he literally says, like that's literally the motivation behind it. So
Yeah.
there's no way around it. If I'm happy, it's for our benefit. The Bob Iger tweet was funny. I'm sure you saw that.
I haven't seen it.
So
No,
he was like, "The feud is over between Disney and
the
Sony."
feud is
The
over.
feud. I was like, "Wow, that's ballsy." Say that we were feuding with one another,
I
but
know, right?
Sony put out a tweet, that literally just had the spider logo on it, insignia, spider insignia, but the spider emoji right on it, and said nothing, but just put
uh,
that out. So
wow.
it was an awkward but
That means that
happy
there was
celebration.
that means that there was a lot of drama behind the scenes,
Yeah,
man.
Iger straight up said a Disney Sony feud is over.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, that means that there were sandwiches thrown,
Yeah,
more than
probably.
likely.
We're
Yeah,
gonna hear.
bro.
I wish there's gonna be like a documentary or something that
A
comes out
book.
about this. A book.
Yeah.
I'm all here for it.
Yeah, seriously. Someone should make a someone should make a book about how Disney made it happen, right? And then
Yeah.
how this whole this entire thing played out.
D-
It's yeah.
Dude, I remember not to detract, but I remember before like this whole thing happened when Amazing Spider-Man was out, a thing or whatever, and really wanted to see Spider-Man in the MCU. I remember tweeting like this guy, I forget, it was a reporter for like one of the major outlets. I can't remember who it was. I tweeted to him and I said, "What do you think the chances are that one day Spider-Man will be in a Marvel Avengers movie?" And he actually responded to my tweet and said there is zero chances that will ever happen. I wish I would save. I should have saved that tweet, or maybe I could find it in my old Twitter
Your
history,
archive,
bro.
yeah. Yeah.
Archive it. But yeah, what a great time to be alive, dude.
I know, seriously, seriously. Yeah, we're excited. We're excited. And the movie actually comes out before Black Panther 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's scheduled to come out 2021, summer 2021.
Yes, July 16th, summer 2021.
Yeah, so in 2 years, about a year and a half, we will have our next Spider-Man movie. When will we see him again? Maybe 2023, when after Black Panther comes out, because that's probably when the next big team up movie is going to be. Again, there's talk of characters coming back that were supposed to be dead during some of the Disney Plus series. We'll see how that pans out. I think those Disney Plus series are going to be pivotal, Joel, to what the next line of movies are going to be. So I think they're going to be setting up, and I think they're doing a great job with not just having Marvel again on the movie theaters. You'll have your movie here and there, but just expanding the universe with this series, and I think that's a fantastic idea. Also, Joel, I don't know if you saw that Disney canceled the Hulu Ghost Rider show
I did.
because they supposedly got all the TV rights for all of their characters now, so they can basically reboot the Netflix franchises if they want it. So yeah, it's very interesting stuff, man.
That's something that we'll have to keep our eye on, stay tuned for, because I don't want to speculate that it's going to be another TV series. I don't want to speculate that it's going to be another movie. That was very like an obvious. They had to do something with those characters. Part of the whole, especially the whole Daredevil thing. Like there was a whole rights reverted situation that happened there for them to be able to use it. So we'll see. Maybe it will be a cinematic thing that where they try and bring them into the film side. Maybe they stick to television. We'll see, bro. I will keep our
Who
eyes
knows?
peeled.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. The Daredevil stuff was definitely a disappointment. Speaking of disappointments, Joel, Birds of Prey released their trailer. I mean, that's all right. It's all right. I'm not gonna say it was great because it wasn't. Like visually, it looked fine. Good colors, good lighting. Of course, Margot Robbie, so it's fine, right? But at the same time, um, the most exciting part of the trailer to me is, of course, Ian McGregor as Black Mask, and Because every again, he's so great. He's every scene he's in, he just steals it. And every time we saw him in the trailer, that was when I was like, oh yeah, oh that looks pretty good. It's pretty dope. Um, but bro, I feel nothing. So yeah.
Yeah, so like my thing is, if this movie wasn't a DC movie, or it wasn't characters that I know from the comics or and are familiar with, if it was just an original movie with the same, plot line, but characters I've never seen before, Karen, the former harlot or something, right? Like it's not Harley Quinn, right? Or something like that. I would have zero interest in this movie. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's only because I know who Harley Quinn is. It's only because of, like you mentioned, Black Mask. Like only because of me knowing who these characters are that actually says I'll give something like this a chance. But it looks so generic, and something that I didn't ask for. So I was hoping you would at least give me something of wow, like this looks amazing, but it almost looks more like a political check mark.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I don't want to bash DC, right?
Right.
Because on the other side, then they're doing like the crisis stuff that looks freaking awesome,
Like
right?
Joker that comes out
And
tomorrow that
Joker
I'll be
comes out,
checking that I'll be
yeah,
checking that out.
yeah, exactly. And Joker comes out tomorrow and looks great, but you're coming up with it. It's hard to follow up Suicide Squad. That's what the problem is here, Joe. Suicide Squad was so bad that even trying to do a follow up to it in a certain way, right? It's just rough.
Yeah.
It's just overall a rough time. We'll see. Suicide Squad 2 just started production this week. James Gunn went ahead and posted production notes and whatnot. So they that's already on.
Yeah.
Maybe when that comes out, we'll actually see some stuff, change in the right direction when it comes to these characters. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, what other characters were there? Black Canary is there, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I couldn't even pinpoint anyone else other than Black Max and Canary, and of course Harley. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, Black Canary, Huntress,
Huntress.
Victor Zaz. There's some others that are also smaller characters I don't know about, but I mean, like there's another part about Obed that to me is like, well, I'm not excited about it, and it doesn't look that great. It's like if it is as much of a meh movie as it looks to be, it's kind of unfortunate that this might be the first time people see some of these characters, and this is the way they're introduced them. Because you know how
Yeah.
people are; they always associate characters to movies, not to like their source material. So like Black Mask is a dope character, and like if it's and it's not, that wouldn't be necessarily even McGregor's fault. Like if it's just a strange thing that they do there, people are always going to equate it to this thing. And if Victor
Yeah.
Zaz is not a great thing, people are going to say, oh, that guy's nothing. When you have a great performance, people always compare it, like the Joker and Heath Ledger, right? They're always going to compare it to that because it was a great thing. When something's a letdown, they're also going to be like, oh, geez, I remember the last time we had one of those. Like Green Lantern hasn't had another one
Oof.
because of that effect,
Yeah,
right? So,
the lanterns were just referenced in Justice League.
yeah,
Yeah, well, in passing.
seriously.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's gonna be all right. Who knows? Yeah, like you said, you were gonna go check out the Joker tomorrow. There's reviews out there by internet personalities that we follow. They all seem to like it. There's a few. I've seen a few of the internet personalities that I've liked for a long time and follow express their woke opinions on it and whatever. Right? Everyone's entitled to their opinion. You don't
Absolutely.
bother me. You can say whatever you want.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's like if you're trying to be woke just for controversy's sake, come on. But
I'm
at the
not gonna
same,
hate on DC for hating on DC. I'm not gonna try and look for problems. I hopefully have a good
absolutely,
time. We'll see.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Uh, so yeah, DC. Again, going back to the Crisis stuff, that looks pretty good. Like I said, I'm out of my word. If it's great, I'll buy it on Blu-ray. So I'm good with that. And there's also rumors that there may be multiple villains in the Batman movie again this week. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think DC is gonna do their own thing.
Oh, for
Like I
sure.
said, they're definitely gonna be doing their own thing. So yeah, man. We are going to take a quick break, Joel, and we'll be right back. And we are back. Joe, I mentioned a few weeks ago that I was playing Destiny 2. I didn't mention it the week before that I actually played through the base game's single player experience. And I did a couple of the events that pop up here and there. And I had a pretty decent time with it. I mean, that wasn't bad at all. I mean, I actually had pretty good fun. And I mentioned to you last week that they've completely removed all the Activision logos from the game booting and from the menu and everything. So that was pretty interesting to see. What's really interesting, Joe, is that yesterday they released their first, basically was the relaunch of Destiny 2, where they released Shadowkeep and the new expansion, and they changed menus, they have adjusted a few things, and great for Bungie, man. They the servers were down for for I mean for a little while they were down, and Destiny overall had the most concurrent players ever. So good for Bungie, man. Talk about a redemption story here. That goes to show that you can make it, that even you can get out of the deal even if you make a deal with the devil, like they did with Activision. Um, Now what's Activision going to do? I don't know how they're planning to monetize Call of Duty. Of course, Call of Duty Mobile just released it this week, and that seems to be getting very positive impressions. But yeah, Joel, what do you think of Bungie and this whole redemption arc that they're
I
in right now?
Good for them. Like it's not very often you hear somebody that's able to survive after, the things that people like this go through in these types of interesting partnerships. Breaking away was good for the creative vision and the future of Destiny. There's a strong fan base there. Many people I know that are very large fans of this franchise, of this game. Knowing that now that with them breakaway that they've completely disassociated themselves and are moving in a forward projection, that's the right thing to do. That's the only thing you can do, and hopefully they can show that they don't need Activision. They can do stuff on their own. They continue to do well with Destiny and keep people happy. So that's what we can only hope for and keep an eye on. But this is going to be the proving time for them. So far, so good. You really like what you're seeing, Obed. You like what you're playing. People seem to be happy. We'll
It's
keep an
good.
eye out and see how they continue to thrive and life after Activision.
Yeah, yeah, definitely keep an eye out for that. Joe, there seems to be trouble in paradise.
Uh-oh.
Um, there was some unexpected shakeups and people leaving and other stuff that happened at PlayStation this week. With the big one being that Sean Layden, the chairman of Sony Interactive Entertainment Worldwide Studios, is leaving the company. This got announced in what seemed to me a very passive aggressive sort of tweet, saying that basically the tweet says it is with great emotion, not specified definite which emotion, but it is with great emotion that we announced that Worldwide Studios chairman Sean Layden will be departing SIE. His visionary leadership will be greatly missed. We wish him success in future endeavors and are deeply grateful for his years of service. Thanks for everything, Sean. Sean Layden was worked for Sony since I believe 1987.
3 decades worth.
Yeah, and he was with PlayStation since the beginning. So yeah, Pretty crazy stuff, Joel. We'll follow up with the other news that came out yesterday and then this morning. But dude, this is a big deal. What do you think, man? What's going on?
I don't know what this deal is. Like you just mentioned it. Like it's a trouble in paradise because like things seem to be going very well. Business seems to be doing very well for them. Creativity doesn't seem to be a problem. There seems to be a lot of things from the business standpoint that are flowing and doing well with working with developers, et cetera, et cetera. And so when I look at this, I want to know like what when you do a restructure, what makes you look at Sean Layden and say, "Peace, I'm out." Obid, do you have any more insight as to why this guy would? Because honestly, I'm reading this and it doesn't make any sense.
So the only thing that I can find, right, and I started looking for info, was in the Spanish website yosoyungamer.com. They posted an article with apparently what's happening, and it seems to be an internal power struggle. And there was clashes and disagreements between Sean Layden and Jim Ryan, who is the current CEO of Sony Computer Entertainment. Um, of course, I talked about Jim Ryan in the past, and Jim Ryan, I know for sure, man, it's not an easy dude to work with because he's been out there, knocking their own. You know, he's always been a marketing guy, a PR guy, and 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 an infamous one at that. So maybe that had to do something with that. So apparently, a lot of the disagreements where Jim wanted to basically take PlayStation in the future, where they wanted to be more open to do more things. Like, I mean, we can just segue into it because
Sure.
we can just probably mix the entirety of this next 2-3 stories all together, because they have to do with what's going on. So the
Absolutely.
first one that broke yesterday was that PlayStation Now is basically cutting the price in half to $9.99.
Amazing.
I mean, from $20. It's basically the same as Game Pass, and they're going to compete against Stadia, right? They need to be ready, and PlayStation one still was like, "Oh no, this thing's $20," that sort of thing, and they were not reacting. Right? Stadia was coming up with this thing. XCloud has a beta, I think, the end of this week, and Sony was not reacting, and they needed to. They're sailing they're cruising with the first party stuff, and The Last of Us and Death Stranding and sales and all this stuff, right? They're cruising, but it seems that they're living in the moment and they're not thinking about the future. It's like not putting money in your retirement account.
Yep.
Um, so what's happening is that, in my opinion, Jim Ryan wanted to move PlayStation into a more future-proof direction, and I think that Sean Layden was more of living in the moment. And I mean, I like Layden. I have nothing against him. He's not. He was not. He's not Jack Tretton, because Jackie T was great. So, but at the same time, he came out and he did the God of War thing, and he did really good interviews. One of my favorite interviews is him, and as much as I don't like Greg Miller, but he had a really good interview with Sean Layden, and Sean explained about not wanting to have games as a service. It's like, oh, it's really easy for me to say. It's like, oh, games as a service, I get it, I want one, you know. But at the same time, you need to diversify. Yes, PlayStation is doing great with their first party single player narrative experiences, but they were really lacking when it comes to uh, this perpetual things like Destiny, for example. Look at Destiny now. Uh, Look at what Microsoft's doing with other properties that they have, and what their future is, right? So I think that had to play a lot in it. The other part of it being crossplay, which that was highly debated. Sean Layden made comments. It's like, oh, we don't want our thing, our thing, our properties, no, not our properties, but games in the platform cross pollinating because we want to make sure that everyone gets the best experience and all this stuff. It was announced this morning that crossplay is available for everyone now. So any developer can, like, if EA wanted to do crossplay on Battlefront next week and put a patch out there, dude, and we can play against Xbox people, it's done. Like, they can do it. And I think that was a big thing that under Sean Layden was not handled very well overall. I don't think that the Sony necessarily was not happy with him, but I think that the direction that the next gen is coming, and, it's coming along, and the direction we're gaming as a whole is going in the next 5 years, is going to dramatically change to a more digital and then in the cloud sort of environment. And I think that Layden was more of a traditionalist, and Jim Ryan, being a PR guy and marketing guy, he was looking at the future. I think that's my opinion based on what this site posted, and what I read on the article. I think that that's potentially what's happening, man, and it's concerning. It's probably not concerning for the launch of the PS5 because I think we're too far along for that.
Yeah, he's already had his hands in that for a while.
Yeah. So, but it will affect, the next, at least the next 2 years, after the PlayStation 5 is released. The other thing is that I forgot his name, but there is a senior, I think the head of SIE in Japan, uh, retired like hours after Sean Layden left. So it's been crazy, man. I mean, what do you think? You got any other theories? Any other input on this, man? I mean, it's nuts.
Sometimes when you're doing so well, like winning solves all, right? Like in sports, a lot of times that's talked about. Like some of the teams that have some of the best success in any sport have some of the biggest issues behind the scenes, and you would never hear about it because everybody wins. Haha, go home, bury the hatchet because we're all champions, right? It's
Cleveland
great.
Cavaliers.
Right, but when you don't, but when the empire falls, things get exposed, or sometimes things kind of spill out as you're into your success, and you see it happen. I'll give another analogy. Mike and Mike on ESPN. That was a show for years that was on ESPN. Mike and Mike was a great success. Everyone who watched that show thought Mike and Mike were the best friends. Came to find out that Mike and Mike couldn't stand each other. They hated each other. Couldn't look at each other's face after the cameras went off, and they literally had to cancel the show. When they were, no one would have known Mike and Mike hated each other, but they kept doing the show. Look, that's not the case on No Load Time. But what I will say is that there could be some personal stuff going on here behind the scenes of Sony where people just aren't doing well together. You would never know because they're winning.
Absolutely.
Very well. And sometimes personality clashes and decisions and things where people just don't really care for. And at some point, decisions have to be made. I feel like that could be the case here. I don't know. That's me looking from the outside.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm concerned for the future and who is going to replace Sean Layden, because it has to be someone, that one, fans like, two, that's, let's flip that over. It's like, if one, someone with the necessary experience to carry the legacy of Jack Tretton and now Sean Layden, and then someone that fans actually like. I mean, Shuhei Yoshida maybe, but Shuhei's been hiding for the last couple of years too, man. If you noticed, like ever since Sean Layden took over, like Shuhei's been like in the background sort of thing. He hasn't been out there as much, and he hasn't been putting videos or doing interviews that much. I mean, and Shuhei was out there when the PS4 was coming out. He was out there with
Oh,
Andrew
absolutely.
Boys and all this guys and Andrew House. Just he was hanging out and out on stage, and where's Shuhei? Hashtag free Shuhei. You know, I don't know. I mean,
There's stuff going
maybe
on there.
yeah, maybe Sean was the problem, and he was like on a power trip and wanted to like take over. I mean, I don't know. Um, but I mean, it is concerning. It's because it's at the end of the day, it's about brand loyalty, right? If the day comes where PlayStation ceases to be, I'll build a gaming PC. I'm not gonna buy an Xbox. Uh, that's just straight up, right? I'll keep buying Nintendo consoles or whatever they're doing, but I'm not gonna buy an Xbox. And that's just not out of like being a fanboy. Is that
There's
I
no
can
need.
play older games on PC. I'd rather just spend the money on, a nice rig than a box. And if I have to finagle around with settings, so be it. But you know, unfortunate, yes. Um, we will definitely see. How long was Sean Layden with PlayStation? About 3 years,
Thir
right?
thir yeah, he was actually he was with them. Yeah, when he got promoted into that role, it was there for a while.
Yeah, because he got promoted. Um, he was out. Um, I want to say the year before God of War got announced.
Yeah,
So yeah, 2016.
yeah,
Three
good
and a
three
half
years.
years maybe. And now Cass Farai is gone too because he retired. So it's like this is like a brand new Sony. Um, but there's definitely something happening. It is fishy. It is really abrupt. That's the thing. It's just abrupt.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe Death Stranding sucks, and he gave Hideo Kojima a ton of money. I don't think that game had a budget of over like 30 million. If you ask me, I think that game has half the budget of MGS5. To be honest with you,
the most expensive part was probably just getting some of those actors involved.
yeah. I mean, not
Not
even.
the most, but
Yeah,
yeah.
probably. Yeah, because they didn't have to spend on an engine. They didn't have to
No.
they outsourced a lot of stuff to other Sony studios. But man, it's just weird. I don't know how I feel. It's confusing. But yeah, so it's a yeah. So I just found another article talking about the Jim Ryan stuff on another website. So I mean, that could very well be it, man. I mean, I know that Ryan's out there, and when he took over, everyone was like, "Oh crap, no!" And I was one that was skeptical. Remember, I don't even remember the episode
Yeah.
number, but I talked about it when it happened. Um, and I mean, I was cautiously optimistic, and now everything's like falling apart. Uh, yeah. Oh, Atsushi Morita was the SIE Japan president that retired the same day that Sean Layden quit or was removed. You know, we don't know. I mean, he departed in which direction we don't know. Um, I mean, apparently he did a reply to the Japan account of PlayStation, and he liked some of the tweets from like the Japan stuff, but he didn't like the ones from the US office. So it's
Strange.
it's really strange, man. Um, we'll see as things come out. Um, Sony's a very private company where they don't really will spill a lot of the beans and go do a lot of drama out there. Same with Microsoft, and Nintendo more than all of them. They're all very secretive. But I'm curious to see what the what and the whys and all the questions. I don't think we'll ever get answers. All we can hope is that things flow the way they should. From what I can see, man, slashing PlayStation Now in half, the price in half, and doing crossplay like the following 2 days after Sean Layden left,
All good news.
those are actually good news.
Yep.
So, whatever was happening, with Sean Layden was preventing these things from happening because they just got announced right away.
Yeah, potentially that could be a large factor there. I mean, when you restructure, it's typically to do things differently, right? You don't do it just for the sake of, making people happy. You do it because you want to make things better. And if you splitting this thing in half, like you and I both instantly were surprised by that news. I was like, wait, wasn't that thing $20? Yeah, it was. Now it's $10. It's phenomenal. The crossplay stuff, fans have been asking for that for a long time. I wasn't like I would be one of the few people who I would not defend that. I don't know why that wasn't something that they were more open to earlier on. But that could have been a Sean thing. Like that easily could have been something that he was just like, no, exclusive, just us, just our people. Let's not be open to this. But when the community is really asking for it, it's a great move to make sure that you do that. It makes people happy, and when you make people happy, you get people to invest more money. That's just the way it goes. Positive publicity.
Yeah. Like this was especially the PlayStation Now stuff was really big with PC gamers.
Massive.
It was like, oh, great. I mean, you mean I get a game service that is not Xbox and I can, play good game. Good. They've added God of War, GTA 5. They've added
Uncharted.
Infamous, Uncharted. They've added a top lineup of games.
Good games.
And then Bloodborne's already there. You get MGS4. I mean, the MGS4 is streaming, right? Because it's the PS3 version.
For sure.
But the PS4 games you can actually offload to the computer and play local. You don't have to stream them. At least that's the case on a PS4. I'm not sure how they do it on PC, but that's the case on PS4. Yeah, man. I mean, whatever's going on, I mean, they followed up with two very good news, in my opinion. So we'll see. We'll find out in a few months. Again, PS5 is probably about maybe based on my predictions, about a year away. Maybe Sony wants to go back into E3, and Sholin was the one that canceled the show, wants to shut it down. So, just like Joe shut down the load time over the weekend.
Shut it down. I will shut it down.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens with that, Joe. That's what we got, man. Go ahead and plug us in, and we're just going to go ahead and get some rest.
Yeah, guys, you guys got to make sure you're connected. We've got a lot of great stuff coming. We mentioned on the show that I will be seeing Joker tomorrow. Obed will not be joining me. I'm very saddened by this, but it's okay. It's that family life versus that bachelor life that he always bothers me about. But anyways.
It chose Joel, not him.
Chose me, yes. It's a life I deserve, not necessarily the life I need. But what I will say is that with Joker coming out tomorrow, I will try to do a live reaction after I watch it. So make sure you're following us at No Load Time on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. Also, make sure you're subscribing to our show so when our next episode drops, I go in-depth discussion about the movie, and we'll see what happens. How the box office is. I'm really curious, man. I'm really, really curious. Supposedly, it's supposed to be a big box office. Might be bigger than what's even been predicted. Might be less. We don't know. So we'll see how that all comes into effect. But make sure you subscribe to our show, iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, and Spotify. Also, we want to make sure you feel open to send any feedback, questions, comments, topics we could discuss on the show. Send an email to noloadtime@gmail.com. That's noloadtime@gmail.com. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day, and we can't wait to see you guys on our next episode.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you again next time.